Hello and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Mordian Glory video, and today guys we'll be taking a look at the new big Astra Militarum box set, the Bastion Platoon. We're going to be having a look at the contents of this box, looking at how you can use it to make a guard force, how it compares to the current Cadian and Castan Defence Force box sets, and at the end I'm going to be making a very exciting announcement, so please hold on to the end of the video. Yes, I know I am being a total sellout, total shill. Wait to the end for the exciting thing. Well, you could just skip ahead and find out if you can't contain your excitement. Oh, I'm excited. Right, let's take a look at this bad boy then. So what is in the Bastion Platoon? Well, the first thing I want to say is I like the name Platoon. I've talked about platoons recently on this channel. Big fan of platoons in the guard. Maybe this is just a bit of fan service by Games Workshop. Maybe it's a little hint that, you know, platoons are coming back. I don't know. I don't want to get you excited over something that could be totally incorrect. But I'm getting myself excited just at the mention of the word platoon and the guard. So be excited with me, guys. Let's get our hopes up just so they can be smashed. But let's get hopeful. Hope is the first step on the road to disappointment. But I am happy to take that step. Anyway, so what is in this thing? Well, you get 3 vehicles and 28 infantry, it looks like. Well, it's not too bad. So you get, looking at those vehicles first, you get your hands on a Chimera. Can't go wrong with a good old Chimera. I know vehicles aren't the best in 9th edition, but Chimeras are still solid. I know I rag on vehicles a lot, but that having some vehicles is still probably the best way to go in the guard. You just want to make sure, more so than ever, that you have a nice solid infantry core. I'm just saying you can't go nuts. You can't go all tanks, but you want to probably go like 65% tanks, maybe. Infantry, maybe. You know what I mean. You want a solid infantry core. So the point is that Chimeras are still great. The maneuverability that they provide, the ability to protect high value assets like veterans, is still good. I mean, if you're going to be taking a Chimera anyway, best to put a veteran squad in there. Then you don't have to spend the CP to outflank them, right? Still pretty good choice. And they've also got decent fire support. People forget, but, you know, Chimeras, you just have to have one guardsman inside that thing, and you've not only have you got the multi-laser and the heavy bolter, which is now damage 2, you've got the heavy stubber on there, which is great, which is 3, you know, and if you put a heavy bolter in the turret, that's 2 heavy bolters, which is really good. Combine that with the heavy stubber, combine it with the las gun arrays, which will get, you know, rapid, 12 shots in within 12 inches. It's a lot of firepower for one little vehicle. You know, if you have a heavy stubber, if you have a storm bolter, 2 heavy bolters, and the las gun arrays, you're looking at 22 shots from a single vehicle. That's a lot of damage out, a lot of number of shots. That's pretty good. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Chimeras. I don't think pure sort of armored fist steel legion is as good as it once was in 8th, but I still think they're a solid choice. So big tick on that unit choice straight away. Good one, Games Workshop. We're off to a good start. Can't go wrong with including a Chimera in the box set. Moving on to the next one, the Sentinel. I give this like a C, this unit like a C+, like a 5 out of 7. Hope someone gets that reference. Or a maybe like a, you know, like a 6 out of 10 kind of thing. Sentinels aren't bad. If you're looking to build up a brigade, they're absolutely essential. You need them to fill out brigade slots. And I have started hearing some rumours, some reports coming back from the front line that having a few scout sentinels to turn one scout move on to objectives is quite a good way of securing some early primary points, which I think is something I hadn't previously considered about the old scout sentinels. And you don't want... And they only give away 2 victory points for Big Game Hunter, for the vehicle killing secondary objective. So you can take 5 of these things, and your opponent still can only get 10 points on his secondary against them. You just take 3 of them, your opponent, you know, to fill out your brigade, your opponent can only get 6 points. So they're not an obviously tempting target. So Sentinels, I think, they're not a bad unit. That would put them in sort of the C- D grade, sort of 5, 4 out of 10. I don't think they're anywhere near that bad. I think they are solid. Currently, sort of, I'd say 6.5 out of 10 unit. They're pretty good. They're not essential, but they're pretty good. You can't go wrong with including a Sentinel on your list. So moving on to the last vehicle choice. This is a surprising one. This one I think caught a lot of people out of off guard, wrong-footed, and I think a lot of people have gone, oh, it's rubbish. So they've included a Hydra in the box. Now that is an interesting choice, but 2 or 3 things to remember. The first one is, which I think is very important, is the Hydra kit also can be made into a Wyvern. Now Wyverns are another, I would argue, sort of C grade unit, like a 6 out of 10 unit. They're good for just chucking out lots of shots, but it is a lot of strength for AP dash shots. So not so sure about it. But it's Hydras, but Wyverns are a perfectly acceptable artillery piece. They do what they say on the tin. They're good at clearing hordes, right? The Hydra itself, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for the old Hydra. I only own 1, but I'm looking to maybe get 3. Now, I have no proof of this, guys, but I have a suspicion that Hydras are going to get pretty damn good in the update. Whenever the Guard Codex comes up, we get an update before the Guard Codex. I have a suspicion that Hydras might become quite good. Simply, but if you look at some of the anti-air units in the Marine Codex, they've lost the whole if it's a ground target, it's -1 to hit. They just now have, if it's a flying target, you get +1 to hit against them. If that happens to Hydras, I think that would really put them back in contention, because they're around 100 points for a decent rate of fire. And me personally, if I had to choose between taking 2 Hydras or a Lehman Russ Exterminator, I'd probably take the 2 Hydras if the Hydras had the +1 to hit fly rule and they lost the -1 to hit ground target rule. So no idea if that's the case, guys. Don't be reading into it. I haven't had any information from my Inquisition contacts or anything like that. All I can say is that's my suspicion based on looking at what happened in the Marine Codex. But even so, I still think Hydras are a kind of okay unit. There are a lot of armies out there that use fly. In fact, the current, I would argue, which is it's recently started smashing things, army is Harlequins. Harlequins are all over the competitive meta. They're about to become all over the competitive meta. They have an army that can absolutely smash enemies and also corral them and keep them in, and they win big on primary by keeping the enemy in the deployment zone. They win big on secondary. They don't bleed a lot of secondary. And Harlequins, and this army relies on a lot of skimming like vehicles. So you've got your Star Weavers and your Sky Weavers and your Hornets, which make up, even with the latest Forge World update, still make up a significant part of the army. Hydras are good at killing those things. Now, they're easy enough to kill, Hydras. They're not the toughest thing to kill, but they are a good unit. If you're thinking about the competitive meta, they are a good unit, right? Because you can take on, like we said, some of these meta choices. And something to keep in mind, you've got Custodes. People love to run them Custodes bikes. Ever since Custodes bikes were released, they've not been good. They've always been good. So and a Hydra, it's not ideal for taking on the Custodes infantry because they've got storm shields. But the Custodes bikes, you can drop those characters straight onto their 3+ invulnerable save. I think those bikes now have access to a 3+ invulnerable save as well. Hydra knocks them straight onto that 3+ invulnerable save, and it's 2 damage a pop. Going off on a slight tangent, I actually once faced a Custodes hardcore bike list and beat it with my Gene Stealer cult, because my Gene Stealer cult, which is insane, right? But my Gene Stealer cult used a lot of autocannon trucks and a lot of mining lasers, and the number of autocannons I had and the grenade launchers I had, which are sort of like autocannons, were really good at taking those Custodes bikes down. So the Hydra, it's a bit of a not sure unit, but then you go, maybe it is a good unit, So it's not as bad as people think it is. Okay, I think what took people by surprise is the lack of Lehman Russ in this box more than anything else. So moving on to the infantry, pretty standard, couple of infantry squads, can't go wrong there, and you have the heavy weapon team as well. Now I think the heavy weapon team that this comes with is alright, actually. I think if you were to put a heavy weapon in each infantry squad, that frees you up 4 riflemen. You could use those 4 riflemen to to combine with bits and the other heavy weapon to go into the command squad. And what that frees you up is it means you don't have to have the heavy weapons team, which is a bit vulnerable. It's always better to put your heavy weapons in your infantry squads. And you could, with this, have your infantry squad and your command squad with heavy weapons. And then using the command squad box, you could add another melter gun, another plasma gun to have a nice punchy command squad. And then with the sort of riflemen that have been freed up and the guys that have been freed up from the command squad, you could easily build yourself a whole bunch of characters, platoon commanders, company commanders, some sort of what am I trying to say, commissars. You could build all that from your remaining, characters and riflemen that you've freed up. So yeah, I think the infantry side of things is pretty solid. What are the problems with this box? Well, for some reason, Games Workshop just does not want you to have a battalion in a box. It does not want you to be able to get a solid battalion force from a single box. So that's my only gripe. But you could take all this in a patrol. There is enough here for you to take a patrol. So this is a patrol in a box, which is pretty cool. And all you need to do is buy a single infantry squad, and you've got easily the potential, if you do some kit bashing on the command squad and make a couple of officers out of it, you've got an army in a box there. So that's pretty cool. Almost an army in a box. Yeah. So what do I think about the Bastion overall? I think it's a solid box. I think it got kind of ragged on a little bit when it was first announced. I think that's purely because of people's perception of the Hydra. I think the fact it can take a Wyvern as well is great. I think the Hydra itself, whilst not a fantastic unit, is not a bottom tier unit. I think it's got the potential to be quite anti-meta if we're looking at this from a competitive standpoint. Yeah, no, pretty good. So how does it hold up to other boxes that Games Workshop sell? Well, the one that you look at is the Cadian Defence Force. Now, essentially, the Cadian Defence Force is the same box set, but with two changes. One, it comes with a Leman Russ instead of the Hydra, which is a very good unit to have. You can't go wrong with the Leman Russ in a standard guard army. Again, I know I rag on vehicles a lot, and I know a lot of people think that based on my videos that Imperial Guard vehicles are totally unusable. That's not true. Guard infantry, pure infantry armies, I think are stronger, but you still can't go wrong with having a Leman Russ in your. If you're a starter player, if you're getting into the guard for the first time, you can't go wrong with the Leman Russ. It's a perfectly acceptable unit. Is it top tier? Unless you take it to tank commander, no. But as a tank commander, yes. But it's still a solid, dependable unit. Not everything. When you're first starting out, you shouldn't be thinking about everything being super efficient. You should just want to build a nice, cohesive force. And the other thing is this box set doesn't include the Sentinel. Now, for the difference is that the new Bastion platoon is £120 from what I have gleaned. So if you get that from a sort of third-party retailer, you get 20-25% off. You're looking at that box for about £100. It's not bad. The Cadian Defence Force is 110. So you lose the Sentinel, and instead of a Hydra, you get a Leman Russ, but you save £10. So you have to, I don't know if one is better than the other. What I would say is if you bought both and mashed them together, you would do quite well. One thing I would definitely say about you'd have a bit, it's £200, but you'd have a pretty well-rounded guard force there for a starting out player, and from that point you can go in whichever direction you want. That's a good 1,000-point list right there with those two box sets smashed together. Now, what do I think about? I think the one advantage the Bastion platoon might have is that, for me, it looks like it's been designed to be bought alongside the Start Collecting kit. Because if you buy a Start Collecting kit and the Bastion platoon, it starts making a little bit more sense. Okay, so those two boxes combined from Games Workshop is £175. I don't know about you, but I always like things being in like increments of 5 or increments of like 25 when you buy something. So £175 to me, it's expensive. Don't get me wrong, guys, but that number just feels like a number that feels like a number that you'd pay. It's a number I'd like. If that's a weird way of putting it, it's kind of weird. So it kind of works for me. You know, £180, no, too expensive. £175, yes, I can consider that. It's weird how the human brain works, isn't it? Well, how my brain works, I should say. So, I definitely feel like the Bastion box set has an advantage because if you combine it with the Start Collecting kit, you get yourself a nice, all-round starting guard army that has a little bit of everything. So the Start Collecting kit, when you combine those two kits together, what do you have? You've got a Chimera, a good transport. You've got a Sentinel, light armour. You've got a Wyvern, artillery. You've got a Lehman Russ, heavy armour. All the sort of different types of armoured unit you can get in the guard, it lets you experience each one of those. Then you have how much infantry do you have? You've got 3 infantry squads. How many heavy weapons teams do you have? Oh, you've actually got 4. You've got more than enough. Excellent. And then you've got your command squad, and you've got the commissar. So you've got 2 HQ choices. And just to drill down a little bit into the detail, and I imagine I don't want this to what would you call it? Be a bit confusing, but I'll try and make it not confusing. If you take all the infantry you've got, you actually have enough to build 4 infantry squads from the Start Collecting kit and the Bastion platoon, because you have 4 heavy weapons. Sorry. So what that allows you to do is from your 3 infantry squads, if you put a heavy weapon in each one, you get 6 riflemen back. Okay, great, 6 riflemen plus the other heavy weapon team that you have from the Start Collecting box set. Okay, great. That means I've got 6 riflemen and a heavy weapon. I only need to find 2 more infantry. Well, let's be honest, who actually takes a command squad? They're not actually, especially with the options that you get given, they're not actually that good command squads. They're nice fluffy units, but they're not good. So what you do is you take 2 of the infantry from the command squad and you add those into your this sort of 8-man scrap unit you've got left over. Suddenly that becomes a 10-man unit. That's a 4th infantry squad. That's pretty good. Or 4th infantry squad. And then with the 3 remaining riflemen you've got left over from 3 remaining infantry models you have left over from the command squad, you can get 3 company commanders. You can get 3 officers, is what I'm trying to say. And so what you have there is all the characters you'll need, and all the infantry you'll need, and a decent amount of vehicles. You've got about, probably about 1,000, roughly 1,000 point list there, which covers all the different bases in terms of armour, lets you try out all the different little armour bits, and you've got enough infantry there for 1,000 points for a hybrid guard army. You maybe all you need to do then is throw in a few snap-fit guardsmen, and yeah, the point is those 2 boxes combined, chuck in a few snap-fit guardsmen. Overall, you're looking at £200. You've got a solid infantry there that covers everything for about £200, brand new from Games Workshop. So if you start looking at discounters, 25% off that, you're going to 25% off. You're going to start looking at some serious discounts, which is pretty good. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. The point I'm trying to make is the Bastion box set is quite a good base. So, what's the exciting announcement? Well, it's going to start off. I have to come crawling on my hands and knees to you guys, especially to my Patreon supporters, because I've been neglecting my Patreon supporters. I just that's it. I've said I would do Patreon supporters giveaways every month, and then I've just not kept to it. So I'm going to make it up to you guys. Okay, I am going to this Christmas. Every Christmas I try and do a big Patreon supporter giveaway. Okay, and I'd normally give away something like a Baneblade, or I think it was Baneblade the first year, and the second year it was the Cadian Defence Force box. You know what we're going to do this time, guys? We are going to give away essentially a starting Imperial Guard army. I am going to one lucky Patreon supporter, I'm going to give away both a Bastion platoon and a start collecting set. Both. You'll get both. Now, one little caveat is the Bastion, depending on when I do the giveaway, the Bastion Platoon may have sold out. Games Workshop has been like teasing people about, oh, it's going to sell out like it always does. If that happens, do not worry. Instead, you can have one of the Defence Force box sets and a start collecting set. Either way, you will be getting about £175 worth of models. Okay, these will be bought. They'll be bought from Games Workshop. They'll be delivered by from Games Workshop, and I will be doing that as a massive Christmas giveaway to my Patreon supporters. Like I said, I am sorry, guys. I know I've been meant to be doing these giveaways, and I always end up leaving it a few months and then sort of fits and starts. But this is me saying sorry. Okay, so massive Patreon supporter giveaway, massive Christmas giveaway. I think we all need a bit of excitement, a bit of boost in our lives with what's been going on. 2020 has been a terrible year, and I think the least I can do is try and do a big giveaway and try and make someone's Christmas. So anyone who wants to enter into that, it's really simple. Just sign up to the Patreon. There's a link down in the description below. Link in every video. I should really start promoting that a bit more. I've been terrible with my Patreons. Oh. Anyway, I am gonna make it up to you guys. Go down, follow the link. There is no minimum. It's not like you need to donate a certain amount to be eligible. No, it can be $1. It can be $10. It really doesn't matter to me. I'm just grateful for anything that I can make off this channel. And all my Patreon supporters. Really loyal guys, absolutely fantastic, and so this is the least I can do. And I know I say this all the time, but I am going to make sure I start doing these giveaways properly, or come up with some. I think next year, 2021 channel update, I'm going to really focus on them Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. I've been letting the side down here. I need to make it up to you guys. I need to do you guys right. Do right by you guys. I need to do that, and that's on me. So I'm going to. I've committed now. It's on video, isn't it? It's on video. I've committed, so I've got to. All right. Anyway, so like I said, if you want to be part of that giveaway, if you want to be, if you want to be part of that, go to the Morning Glory Patreon. I've plugged it enough now. Now I sound like I'm selling out. I'm going to stop. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.